from March 2nd to March 5th, Team 2470, Team BJORG, went to the Duluth Northern Lights Regional. This was the first time many of our team members had been to a competition, especially after last year's off year due to COVID. This competition took the form of 80 qualification matches, where you would be assigned random teammates and would have to compete to do well, and eventually the top 8 teams would be given a chance to basically pick their teammates and go into a playoffs where the winning alliance of 3 robotics teams would go on to make worlds. Our team was very hopeful in our autonomous. We thought it would do well. It wasn't a super impressive one. For teleup, we were fairly confident. Our drive team had a decent amount of drive practice. We knew the main faults of our robot, like it being tippy, and were able to successfully navigate around that by driving conscientiously. Our climb, however, which is one of the biggest parts of our robot, we ended up running out of time to really test a ton. We had 1 or 2 tests beforehand, but thankfully, due to our good CADing and good fabrication with our build and CAD teams, our climb actually was one of the most consistent at the tournament, with the only 2 main games in the qualifications where we did not successfully climb being the cause of not climbing in one was a electronics failure, and one because another team knocked our bumper off.
So one of the things that we did before we went to competition is we wanted to prep as many things as possible. We made a packing list. We spent at least a full day on that with much of the teams and mentors involved in creating that. We, Reese, Elena, and I, we all set up the pit, which is a 8x8 to 10x10 area that we have assigned to us in at the competition. We have this small area assigned to us, and then we can, that is the area that we have to work on the robot and make modifications, and is, what we have for it is this large rectangular pink PVC structure that accents our team. We have a team banner front, and then kind of around the side we have these flamingos, which represent our team mascot.
So I was part of the first pit scouting crew on Thursday. So it was the first time we went pit scouting. The 4 of us that were supposed to be pit scouting met together, and we created a Google form then to track the responses and be able to easily categorize and see the data. And then we split off into 2 groups, and we started walking around the lines of the pit area, asking most crews if they were there, like what's the most special thing about your robot, trying to gauge like their overall confidence level, their autonomous plans, and all sorts of stuff to really start honing in on some basic strategy before we had some like details to back it up, because pit scouting is a lot about what teams hope they can do, and match scouting is more on what teams know they can do, like the data is backed up. So we got some good early data for some like early strategies, some early other like scouting stuff. For example, we used some of the information to do some, I guess, like counter strategy for the first few competitions, where like we know our opponent, or our opponent says they're going to be good at this, so we need to make sure in a way that we either know how to do defense to that, or in another way, like we know our opponent isn't going to score a bunch of points from climbing, knowing that we can climb to get that extra edge above the other teams. So that Thursday, pit scouting was just really good for getting that baseline information down to help propel the team forward through the early successes before we had the concrete data to back up our strategy.
At the Duluth Regional, we won 7 out of the 9 matches, and over the course of the competition, we were able to get better since we knew what to expect during each match. We also got to traverse to 6 out of the 9 times over the competition, and at the end, our team ranked the highest in the average amount of points earned by climb, which is really good, considering we only got to traverse 6 out of the 9 times.
Our team spent 3 hours on Friday after the first day of qualifications preparing a teams list, as we were in the top 10. We were around 10 or 11th-ish. and we're in a place where we had a decent chance of having to pick potentially pick teams as an alliance captain. We had a large chunk of drive team, many team leads, the people in strategy there, and we went through a lot of the data from our spreadsheet and all of our scouters and the stamps and some pit data to figure out how teams were doing for scoring points, what they were capable of in terms of high shooting, low shooting, where their climbs were, and compile the list of the teams that we thought would both be very good with our team and would be good at scoring. We also then spent some time the next day working on the same list, especially as our team made it from 10th to 7th and eventually became the 5th seed in the 8-person bracket as an alliance captain. So all of this was ultimately very useful in helping guide who we picked.
We bring just being able to spend time with the team and build friendships and develop that is hands down my favorite aspect outside of the actual robotics portion of the tournament.
So during the competition, Control Systems spent the first practice day working on trying to push a new feature since it was a practice day for climbing automation. That didn't end up getting pushed because we didn't get a good, tested working version in time for Friday and Saturday. On Friday and Saturday, though, we spent most of our time on quick fixes. We changed a lot of parameters. The drive team was coming back to us and saying, hey, the conveyor needs to go quicker, and we changed that. They came back and said, hey, the back arm needs to move just as fast as on both directions. We fixed that, and a number of other changes that we're working on. We were trying to diagnose and fix the shorting issues. Overall, a lot of rapid fire fixes on competition days, trying to get things inspected, get everything good for the drive team, and get everything competition ready.
Well, we came very prepared. This is one of the teams where we came to competition, one of the most prepared, for sure in the last 4 years, quite possibly longer. The only issue we encountered was one of the bars that hold the two arms that we used to climb in the back. As we were testing it, it was actually taking the bar and twisting it. So we had aluminum bar first, swapped it up for a steel bar, which worked significantly better. But then even then, as we were going through competition, we actually still were buying this, we were still bending this steel bar. We managed to massively increase, just through practice, through our drive team, how fast we were climbing, practice driving. It was really impressive to see the progress that the drive team made in such a short time.
So on Thursday, the first day of the tournament, we were working on practice matches and making sure that our robot was working and ready to connect to the field for our matches that began on Friday. So we did our first couple assigned practice matches, and then we did end up filling in for other teams and getting some extra matches that way. We did a lot of work throughout these practice matches and got our robot a lot of practice for our drivers and learned a lot of strategy. On Friday, we did really well in our tournament. We placed 7th and ended up as the 5th seed alliance captain. So we picked 2 other teams and competed with them against the 4th seed alliance captain. We ended up losing to them. We lost our first and third game, but we did end up winning our second one. We could have won, but due to a number of errors, we did not.
So J Creek, what was your favorite part about the competition?
I really liked just being able to get out of school and go up to a different place, kind of give us an experience outside of Jefferson in general, especially with robotics.
What did you think about the team dynamics within the competition?
I think it actually worked really well for our team dynamics, especially considering we just had a lot of communication, especially in regards to match scouting, and our entire team just was engaging with that.
And what did you think about team dynamics outside of the competition?
It was probably less ideal than it was at the competition, but I feel like we still had pretty good dynamics just in communication within our teams, especially considering after every meet we would discuss what we did that day and would help engage communication.
Thank you. Brendan, what was your favorite part about the Duluth Regional?
My favorite part about the Duluth Regional was just seeing all the robots and all the creativity with the other teams.
Did you enjoy the team dynamic?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we all worked together. It was a fun time.
What do you think about the hotel situation?
I thought it was fine. You know, a lot of us to a room, but you know, it wasn't too bad. I think they did a good job with it.
Okay, so it was pretty cool because there's a lot going on. Like you're in the pit half the time working on the robot. Other half of the time you're in the stands cheering on your team, looking at data from competition matches. I thought it was really interesting because I've never been to like such a big event before. There's so many people. There's so many people from like different areas of of Minnesota. It's really cool to meet different people. The fields were huge.
Yeah.
Like really big. I didn't know they were gonna be that big. It was really cool to see because I've only ever seen one robot on the field at once, or on our miniature field where we have just the hoop, and it was kind of cool to see the different robots kind of battling for the win.
Business team was responsible for preparing for awards, deciding which awards we wanted to go through, and developing a business plan. And during the competition, we took time to kind of examine other people's pits and see what we could change about ours, as well as looking for potential sponsors and communicating with other teams to see what kind of things we can hand out. We have a lot more to prepare for this next competition. This weekend, we will be beginning to work on the business plan and try to redevelop that and make it look a whole lot better and a whole lot more in depth, as well as working on our sponsorships as usual. And we're going to be working on NFC cards that we can hand out to teams, where it'll bring them straight to our website and straight to our robots statistics. This past time was very rushed, and we regret not working on it earlier, but this time around we're working on awards starting within the 2 weeks after the competition and working on them up until and practicing them right up until the competition.